Okay, let's remind him as well. Okay. And I want to go up more because I'm done with those. Okay, today's video is called "What is Biblical Age of the Universe?" Because I didn't talk about that. I know I already made it for what the Bible says about what does the Bible say about the universe. I think I made what the Bible says about the age of the universe. Okay. Now, what I did not talk about in my last video was the word universe in other languages. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to start with in Spanish. I'm going to do this quickly since I can. Okay, I gotta do it Spanish first, and I gotta do it starting with the word universe. Okay. Okay, the word universe in Spanish is universal. Universal.
Universo.
Universal.
Universo.
Okay, so universal is universe in Spanish. And then for French, because I got next one.
Univers.
Univers is universe in French. Now, what about next one? And this one is in Mandarin, anyway. So here's the word universe. So here it is.
宇宙.
Okay, Yuzhou is universe in Mandarin. Now here it is in Arabic.
Kaunu.
Okay, so Khan is universe in Arabic. Probably not saying it right anyway. Now, what about the next one's going to be in Japanese. I'm going to get this done quickly. If I'm going too fast, you can just pause the video. So, because I want to do these quickly. Yuchu is universe in Japanese. Okay, now last one. The last one is in Korean. Yuju is universe in Korean. Okay. Now let's go to see why I believe that universe is young. So that's how to see universe in different languages, but now we need to find out what the universe is and why I believe the universe is young. And I want to go back to Spanish in my Google Translate. Alright. Okay, so this one is we're talking about the universe as young, you know? The evidence of a young world and a young universe, okay? So let me read to you why this is 12 evidences why I believe that the universe is young. Okay? Here it is. So here it is, okay? Here are a dozen natural phenomena which conflict the evolutionary idea that the universe is billions of years old. The numbers I list below are bold print, often millions of years, are maximum possible ages in each process, not actual ages. The numbers in italics are required by evolutionary theory. And each item. The point is, maximum possible ages are much less than what are evolutionary ages, while the middle age, 6,000 to 10,000 years, always comfortably and maximum possible ages. This following items of evidence against evolution timescale from the biblical timescale. Much more young world evidence exists. I have chosen items for bravely simplicity. Some of the items on the list can be soiled of the old universe by making series of probably unproven assumptions. Others can make fit only a young universe. The list of the summing of the astronomic phenomenon and works its way down the earth and ending with everyday facts. So let's show you what will happen if the universe was billions of years old. Well, My answer is, if the universe was billions of years old, we shouldn't have galaxies anymore. Why? Because galaxies wind up themselves too fast. I'll tell you, and here's the answer why they do that. The stars of our own galaxy, the Milky Way, rotate in the galactic center with different speeds, and instead of rotating faster of outer ones, the observed rotating speeds are so fast our galaxy more than a few hundred million years old, and they feature disk stars of its present spiral shape. Our galaxy is supposed to be at last 10 billion years old, but evolutionists call this a winding down dilemma, which we have known about for 50 years, and they have devised many theories to try to explain it. Each one filling a brief period of popularity of spring winding down dilemma applies to other galaxies. For the last few decades, a favorite attempt to solve the dilemma has been a complex theory in destiny ways. The theory is conditional problems has to be arbitrary and finely tuned, and lately has been called for serious question of the Hubble Space Telescope's discovery and the detailed spiritual structure of the central of the Ropo galaxy M51. Now, I googled how long it's going to take for the sun to orbit the Milky Way galaxy, and it said it would take about 230 million years for the sun to orbit our galaxy, which means we won't have time for the sun to orbit our galaxy. And galaxies are winding themselves too fast. So it means that it means that you'll have no more galaxies left, and it means the galaxy will just be destroyed before the sun has a chance to orbit around it. So that's another thing that's wrong, and so yeah, we shouldn't have any more galaxies anymore if the universe was billions of years old, because they wind up too fast. Another reason why we shouldn't have comets anymore if the universe was billions of years old. Why? Because they disintegrate too quickly, and there's no Oort cloud 3 light years away. And you want to believe there's an Oort cloud 3 light years away in our solar system, but there isn't. But it's true, okay? You shouldn't be any more comets if the universe was billions of years old. Why? Because comets disintegrate too quickly. So here, according to evolutionary theory, comets are supposed to be the same age as the solar system, about 5 billion years. Yet each time the comet is close to the sun, it loses so much material, and it could not survive much longer than 100,000 years. Many comets have typical ages of 10,000 years. Evolutionists explain the discrepancy of assuming that A comets have observed Oort cloud well beyond the orbit of Pluto. B, in a probable conditional interactions recently passing stars of non-comets into our solar system. C, the improper interactions would slow down, and the coming of the amount of the abundance of observed. So far, none of these assumptions of either assumptions or realistic calculations. Lately, the talk of the Kuiper belt disk of the supposed comet sources are on the name of the plane of the solar system just outside the orbit of Pluto. And even if the bias ice exists in that location, they would not really solve the evolutionist problem, since according to the evolution theory, the Kuiper belt will quickly become exhausted of the Oort cloud to a supply of formation to see the article of the comments of the solar system. If the universe was billions of years old, there would be too much mud on the sea floor, and I believe all the fish and I believe all the sea creatures will die from this. So there's not enough mud on the sea floor. This means that each year water winds erode 25 billion tons of dirt and rock in the continents that deposit in the ocean. And this material occurs as sediment, mud, plastic of lava formed in the ocean floor, and depth of the mud at the ocean and including glacial slopes of less than 400 meters. The main way known to remove the mud in the ocean sea floor is the plate tectonic subduction. That is, sea floor slides slowly a few centimeters a year beneath the continents, meaning the sediment with it. According to secular scientific literature, and the process of percent removes slowly 1 billion tons per year. As efforts to remove anyone knows, over 24 billion tons per year should be accumulate. At that rate of erosion would deposit present amount of the sediment in less than 12 million years. Yet according to the evolutionary theory, erosion and plant subduction have going to as long as the oceans have existed. That's 3 billion years. If that were so, the rates above imply that the oceans would be massively choked when mud dozens of kilometers deep. Alternative creationists explain that the erosion of the water of the Genesis flood running off the continents is positive of the present amount of the mud within a short time about 5,000 years ago. Now, number 4. If the universe and the earth were billions of years old, there would be too much salt in the sea, and all the sea animals will die. You know why? Because I believe there's a limit of how much salt they can have. That's why. So I believe all the sea animals will die. I believe all the fish will die. All the crustaceans will die. I believe everything in the sea will die because there's too much salt in the sea. So answer number 4 is there's not enough sodium in the sea. Every year, river sources dump over 50 billion tons of sodium into the ocean. Only 20% of sodium manages to get back about each year. And as far as anyone knows, the remainder of is the ocean. If it's no sodium to start with, it would have accumulated its present amount less than 42 million years. Today's output rates. This is much less than the evolutionary age of the ocean. 3 billion years, and this usually applied to discrepancy of past sodium inputs of the inputs of last outputs greater. However, calculations are generally possible. Measuring scenarios still give a maximum age of only 62 million years. Calculations of other seawater elements of younger ages of the oceans see also. So these seeds the evidence of the young Earth. Now another thing it should be. So the problem is that, well, here's another reason. So, well, if the universe and the Earth was billions of years old, well, none of the planets should have a magnetic field anymore. Why? Because Mercury's magnetic field is decaying too fast. You know, the Mercury's going to lose its the planet Mercury's going to lose its magnetic field before Earth does. You know, because Mercury is smaller than the Earth and it's closer to the Sun. That's why. And all the other planets are decaying too fast. And also, the Earth's magnetic field is also decaying too fast. So why is the Earth's magnetic field decaying too fast? And why is the other planet's magnetic fields decaying too fast? You know, well, let's find out why. You know, because what's going to happen is all of the planets, including Mercury and the Earth, I believe Mercury, because I believe Mercury and the Earth, I believe those are the two planets are going to be exposed to solar radiation once they lose their magnetic field, and then the gas planets will be after. Because we need a magnetic field to protect us from solar radiation. You know, we don't have that. We will expose to solar radiation, and we will all die, and all the animals will die. You know. So why is the magnetic fields on every planet? Why in every planet of our solar system decaying too fast? Well, let's read it. Why? The total energy of the Earth's magnetic field is steadily decreased by a factor of 2.7 over the past 1,000 years. Evolutionary theories complete a rapid decrease as well. The astronauts could have maintained magnetic field for billions of years of complex and inadequate. Well, that's because we believe in magnetic universals, but there's no such thing as that. A much better creationist of straightforward based on extended features of creation, rapid universals during the Genesis flood. And immensity of decreases increased until the time of Christ, and study of it since then. Since theory of the filmatic history resin data, of the universe of data is total energy falling out since instantly. This indicates, at least since now, of the flood, and the eternity of the flood, not more than 1,000 years old. The Earth's magnetic field evidence of the Earth is young. So you can see the Earth's magnetic field is decaying too fast, and there's no magnetic reversals in our planets. I believe the only thing that has the magnetic reversal is just the sun, you know, and the sun's magnetic field does reverse every 11 years, and it's because of the solar. That's because of the sunspots. That's why, solar minimum and solar maximum. That's why. I'll talk more about that in a later video. Let's keep reading. So the mini strata are too tightly bent. There's another reason why. Many mountainous areas, stratus, thousands of feet thick, have been folded out in shapes. The geologic time scales these formations are buried for thousands of hundreds of millions of years before they were bent. Yet folding continued without cracking, rendering them so small. Formation is yet to be wet solidified. A bending occurred. This provides folding occurred less than 1,000 years after depositation. Now, these will shorten geologic ages, because number 7, the geologic sandstone shorten geologic ages. Strong geologic evidence that exists that can be in sandstone found aged for 500 million years ago. Yeah, there's Colorado Springs that solidified. Now they extended up to surface during the upheaval of the Rocky Mountains, potentially 70 million years ago. Is that likely the sandstone when solidified during the supposed 430 million years was underground, and it was underground. Instead, it was likely the two geologic events less than 100 years apart. Really short of the geologic time scale.
Press and hold the Google Assistant button and start talking.
I had some stuff to clear on my phone. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's another evidence. Now, also, fault activity shortens the geologic ages for a few years. Okay, radio helios, or at least a color form of the microscopic bits of radioactive minerals of rock crystals. These are evidence of radioactive decay. Scotch uranium of 210 helios indicate that Triassic, okay, yeah, the formations of the Colorado Plateau were deposited within months and one another, not hundreds of millions of years apart, of requiring a visual time scale. Orphan millennium of 2018 helios, having evidence of time elements imply the creation of drastic changes of radioactive decay rates. Number 9 is there's helium in the wrong places. Naturally occurring families of the radioactive elements during helium and decay. And this decay took place for billions of years, and usually by evolutionists, much helium which should find way of Earth's atmosphere. The rate of loss of helium, which should have atmosphere into space, calculable and small. Taking that loss into account, the atmosphere today is only about 0.5% of the helium would account of 5 billion years. This means the atmosphere that's much younger than the legend of the evolutionary age. A study published in Geological research shows that the helium mega deep but hot rocks have no time to escape, and thus rocks are supposed to be over a billion years old. A large helium nation is such age only 1,000 years. Seen as blowing the old Earth belief away, helium gives evidence that the Earth is young. So that's another evidence. Number 10 is there's none of Stone Age skeletons. Evolutionary anthropologists said that Stone Age lasted for at least 100,000 years, during which time all the population of Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon men constant 1 in 10 million. At that time, all the burying that they're dead and artifacts. By scenario, they would bury at least 4 billion bodies. Evolutionary timescale is correct. Our buried bones should be able to last much longer than 100,000 years. So it's supposed to 4 billion Stone Age skeletons should be certainly rewire artifacts. Yet only a few thousand have been found, and this applies to Stone Age was much shorter than the evolutionists think, a few hundred years in many areas. Another evidence for the Earth in the universe being young is architecture is too recent. The evolutionary picture of men consisting of hunters and gatherers for 100,000 years, being the Stone Age before, discovery of the culture less than 10,000 years ago. Yeah, there's architecture evidence shows the Stone Age men are intelligent as we are. And probably none of these 4 billion people mentioned in them 10 discovered plants grow in seeds. That's more likely how the event of the agriculture less than a few hundred years after the flood, if at all. History. Now, and here's one more evidence. History of the Earth, universe being young. History is too short. According to evolutionists, the Stone Age man existed for 100,000 years before beginning to make written records. About 4,000, 5,000 years ago, prehistoric man built metallic monuments, made beautiful cave paintings, and keep records of lunar phases. Why would wait for 1,000 centuries before using the same scale to record history? The biblical time scale is much more likely. So that's another evidence. Yeah, history is too short. Well, and there's only one language before the flood anyway. And we got, and then I know the languages that started Tower Babel. So what is the oldest country in the world according to the Bible? I believe it's Iraq. Why? Because that's where Babylon is at. The Babylon is where the Tower of Babel was at. People were building the Tower of Babel at Babylon. The tower. Okay, we got people started building the Tower of Babel, and they got scared of the languages, and then Babel just became Babylon. So what's the oldest country in the world is Iraq, because that's where Babylon is at, and that's where people started building the Tower of Babel back then. When it was made, when Iraq. Okay, so the oldest country in the world is Iraq because of the Tower of Babel. That's why, and Babylon. Now, I'll tell you what Tower of Babel. I'll tell you which country got started. I'll tell you what country that got started after the Tower of Babel, which will be, Israel, Jordan, I think Syria and Turkey. I believe Spain and France and Italy, and those are European countries, right? Now, what about the African countries? Well, there'll be Egypt and Sudan and Libya You know, it could be Algeria, Morocco, and also Niger, and Nigeria, and also you know. So I believe there's some African countries also started. But what about the East Asian countries as well? I do believe that the East Asian countries that also got started the Tower Bubble are India and China. Yeah, those are the countries that got started. Those are the other countries, those are the East Asian countries that got started after the Tower of Babel. You know? My home country, the United States of America, didn't get started until 1776. But there are still people in this country before this then ever became a country. So so how people came here? Well, the Native Americans, they crossed all the way to I think they crossed all the way to Siberia, which is I think they crossed all the way to Siberia, probably to which is the eastern side of Russia, crossed all the way to Alaska, and then crossed all the way from Canada all the way to here, the United States, all the way to here and to this land in North America, all the way to North America, and some of them did cross to South America as well, and that's how we got people here in North America and South America. You know. Even though, but Canada and the United States and Mexico and so is the other Latin American countries, well, they didn't become a country until later on. So the United States became a country in 1776. Mexico, I think became a country in 1868, and Canada became a country in 1884. So that's what I know of, and that's it. So so you can see those, but anyway, so that's a lot of other things. So this is all the evidence. So you can see this is the evidence of young Earth creationism. So I gave you 12 evidences the universe and the Earth are young, according to the Bible. Now I want to show you how to get safe according to the Bible. Okay, the point of evolution is to damn souls to hell. When you go to heaven, speak of our Lord Jesus Christ. Salvation is by faith alone, grace on Jesus Christ alone. And once you are saved by His is the truth, meaning you can't lose your salvation forever. But salvation is due to just believe on Jesus Christ for salvation. And I want to talk about next video is, well, this was about Groundhog Day. I don't celebrate Groundhog Day. I'll talk about why I don't celebrate it. That I believe why Christians shouldn't celebrate Groundhog Day. Well, I'll talk about it in the next video. And then I'll talk about the New Year that I don't celebrate, Chinese New Year. What's best about Chinese New Year? I'll talk about that after Groundhog Day. So that's what I'll be talking about after. So I'll talk about Groundhog Day next video, and in the video after I'll talk about Chinese New Year. Because I gotta go right now. I'll talk about stars after I'm finished talking about Chinese New Year. Anyway, I have to go right now. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.